I know it's the time of this video going live that we are halfway through the January, but let's rewind for just a minute to talk about the amazing things that I read in December because there are some gems and I need to talk about them before, we're in like the month of February. Hello friends, happy Friday. So very excited that you're here. Very excited to be talking about all of the things I read in December. It was a much smaller month of reading. I only read 19 volumes, though I did read some like webtoons and whatnot. But overall, it was just a much smaller month. And I was prepared for that because at the time I was planning and doing, to the best of my ability, the 25 days of shoujo manga. And then my family got sick and the holidays came. And so it sort of unraveled a little bit near the end. But a huge shout out and thank you to everybody who just participated in the 25 days of shoujo manga, who read shoujo, who watched videos and whatnot. Thank you so much. I hope next or this upcoming year will be much smoother. I'm thinking of redoing how I have hosted it or how I've like done it the past few years. Please stay tuned, even though I know we just kicked off 2025, so that's definitely a long way away. But in the meantime, let's talk about the things that I read. I surprisingly read a lot of digital things last month, which is very odd for me, I feel like, because I don't typically read a lot of digital, but sometimes I just get these moods, especially when I'm sick. I don't like reading my physical TBR when I'm sick, or if like my family is hugely sick as well. I'd rather just read digital because my brain's like, oh, that wasn't on my TBR, so it's a low commitment, doesn't require me to remember much, which sounds sort of weird, honestly. So let's talk about those first. One of the first things I read was Magical Girl Dandelion, and I'm not going to go in depth about that. I read chapters 6 and 7 because when I talk about them, like when the new chapter drops in the manga news video, I do like my mini reviews there. Know that I'm deeply loving it and enjoying it so very much. The next one I read is Safe and Sound in the Arms of the Elite Knight, I think is the official title of that. It's really small, like right here in my reading journal. This is a digital manga from J Novel Club. Sometime at the end of last year, I found this for 99 cents, I think, on Amazon, and decided to give it a try. It was okay. It was sweet. Actually, the beginning was not nearly as sweet and fluffy as I thought. The parents are horrible to the female lead, like awful, and I was so angry, and so I was glad that she like escaped from her family, but then things got really hard and she just seemed so defeated, like our main character, and I was heartbroken for her. But then she meets this elite knight and things are going to change, and things are starting to gradually change. It was more of a volume, I feel like, that was setting things up because I thought there would be like a lot of romantic shenanigan things happening. Not quite yet. I would be interested in volume 2. I wouldn't pay full price. Like if I got it for a deal, then I would definitely check it out because it was a nice volume. I enjoyed reading it. The next one I read that I was head over heels for, almost so was my favorite read of this month, and that is In So Deep It's Love Already. I read the first or the only 6 volumes that are available on K-Manga, maybe an extra chapter or 2 that's not part of an actual volume. I started this on a whim. I don't even remember why I decided to try it. It's about a young woman who confesses her feelings and she is rejected, and so after that she decides, well, I'm not going to love anymore or like confess. I am just going to be an ultimate fangirl for my faves and stand them and love them. And so that's what she does until a new student arrives, a transfer student, which is our male lead, and he is so mean, so grumpy, but she finds out his secret that the reason he's mean to only, and he makes it known to only girls, is because when he talks to them, he blushes a whole bunch and he gets very embarrassed. Well, she thinks this is the cutest thing, and she decides that he is going to be her new fave and she's going to stan him. But as she gets to know him, as she gets to see more of his secret, she starts realizing she is in very deep because she deeply loves him. And so it is her story, yes, but really their story as a soon-to-be couple. I loved every moment of this. I do feel like the 6th volume was probably my least favorite, but I also, because they start getting very intimate and nothing's shown or anything, but she really wants to be one with this guy. The thing is how, I'm trying to think of how to say this without spoilers. There is something he tells her because he ends up hurting her feelings, saying, no, I don't want to ever do that, or at least not in high school. And she is heartbroken because she's like, I am ready to be intimate with this man, and he doesn't want that. Or it seems that way initially, but he tells her something of how much he respects her that I was like, that is incredible. It became an instant 5 stars. It would have been like 4 stars, but it went up to 5 stars because I was just honestly amazed by this young man who's so blushy, says he hates women, but he is like bringing all of the swoon worthiness when it comes to their relationship. And I'm like, dude, let me leave the screenshot that I took right here because it honestly fits and wraps up this entire series in like one panel. I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for something where it has that fangirl stan vibe and seeing her grow and change as an individual, but the relationship and seeing how sweet they are, how open they are with communication. There's not a lot of drama. Honestly, we don't even have like a lot of focus on other characters that I know of. There's only 2 other characters that, no, 3, because his brother is absolute trash. And oh my gosh, I was so enraged at that man's actions. And I'm like, get off the page, get off the page. I was really angry. I blew up my Discord server just a little bit with a lot of angry emojis about this said character. But outside, think of those 3 characters. I think those are the only like main characters that actually have names, or not main, but side characters that have names. Otherwise, it's just purely focused on them. Not a lot of drama, just seeing them fall more and more in love. And I am totally seated, totally here for it. And I'm really excited to see where things go because it was just such an interesting, even if I was like, well, I don't want there to be more of a focus on physical attraction and being intimate as one. I love how it was written. It was very different than I feel in this sense. There was just such open communication between them about why he didn't want them to move forward or take that next step in their relationship, as he said, what he wanted to do moving forward. That was like, dude, this is crazy. It was so good. It was so, every single volume was an overwhelming 5 stars. Very much loved it. Spent half of my points on K-Manga to read this series because I just could not stop reading. It's the first time, probably since I've read Glasses, where I used all of my tickets because I just been hoarding them. I mean, I know they expire, but I was just hoarding them because I'm like, I don't know what else to read. And I used all those. And then when I used them up all that day, I was like in agony that I had to wait for the refill for the next day. And so really, really enjoyed it. And again, would definitely recommend, eagerly looking forward and hoping that this will get physically published in English because I think a lot of people will like it, especially if you do like that tundra trope and seeing him just become a precious little soft being that is just head over heels for this girl. Like, yes, so very good. The next manga that I read was With You, Our Love Will Make It Through. I read this digitally. Shout out to Yen Press for a digital e-copy. Also, the next one I'm about to talk about as well. I was shocked. Okay, so I don't have a problem with furry manga. I know there is some taboo things that people say online, and there's a lot of like, well, you read that? Like, what you reading? But I wanted to give it a try because my friend Nicole, shout out to her, is it Bean Queenie? I always Google it wrong online. I'm gonna leave it right here. But my friend Nicole had just raved how good this was. And when I had the chance to get a digital e-copy, I'm like, I'm gonna try it for her. Y'all, out of anything I read in the month of December that I was shocked that I loved, it was this. I would explain this manga being a modern day of Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts, which I do have a review of and absolutely love. But rather than Leo being where like he is a beast and they can turn into a human on certain days, our main guy here, who I'm blanking on his name right now, he is 100% purely beast, never changes into human. And I love how the creator had said her like afterward that he will always stay a beast. I thought that was very funny to put that note out there. So yeah, I would say it's a modern day Sacrificial Princess, and the themes, I think that's honestly what resonated with me so much when reading this manga. So much so that if I wasn't like stacked with things I already really want to get that I already committed to getting like physically, I would totally get this physically because there was like 2-3 steamy is spicy. I think it's steamy would be the right word. I was like, oh, I'm reading like, what's that emoji, y'all, where they're like reading like this, where you barely, there we go. Reading like that. But the themes and the characters and the friendships were so satisfying and the art was beautiful, and I just felt completely engaged in this first volume and felt it was just so good. And I never expected that I would just love it as much as I did. I really want to keep reading this series, so I'm gonna have to seriously think about what I'm gonna do like moving forward and how I can read more, because I love those themes of seeing somebody is having prejudice towards them and they're isolating them because they're different. And in this case, our male lead is a wolf-like human. And then seeing our female lead actually be attracted to him. I think the blurb's a little bit misleading in the sense they say that like she wants to get to know him more, but it's because of like how he looks. I feel like, yes, she is attracted to him physically, but I feel like even more than that, it is just him as a person, as an individual. And so when he's getting where people are trying to bully him, she stands up for him. And even there's another guy that's in the process who also stands up for him. And so I love that. It was very, very good. If you're into furry romance, definitely would say give it a chance. I'm glad that I did. I'm definitely glad that I did. And like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do because I want to read more and my budget's saying no, but I've got to make a way. The last digital manga that I read was Takahashi in the Bike Shop. This was my final read of 2024, and it was a really hard way for my reading to end because this story hit me hard. It is not bad. I think I mentioned in a different video about, I think it was my top 12 books of 2024, and I did a brief recap of my reading using Goodreads stats, that I gave it a low rating of 3.5 stars, and I told people don't be misled by that rating. Outside of Fruits Basket, which I've reviewed on this channel, I've sobbed when I did that review. This series, or this volume, really hit me the same way that Toru hits me in Fruits Basket, with that overwhelming relatability where it's uncomfortable, it's painful to see something in yourself that you're not very fond of and see it in a character and them have that exact same struggle that you're having. With Ponko, or is that how you say her name? Our female lead, I had the same struggle she does, or did. I'm not as much as a people pleaser as I used to be, but the way that she wants to avoid confrontation at the max level, I was like, yes, that is me. And seeing her cut herself off from things that she super loved because people will be like, you like that? Like there's an example is there's a movie she wants to see, but the guy that she's like just going out with, she's not dating him, but like they're just going out to see a movie. He's like, what? You're an adult and you watch that? And she's like, oh, you know, and sort of like blows it off and decides not to. Oh my gosh, guys, I think Glass with a Chance of Delinquent is right outside my window. I'm sorry. I know I was off track there. We were kind of about a different manga, but I didn't know if it was gonna come today, but she's getting out of her truck to drop off a package. She has packages. She has packages. Anyway, I will get it after this video ends. So I apologize, friends. I apologize. But yeah, there's a scene where, and so during that scene, and she decides like, well, I guess it's not worth it. And she sees a movie she has no interest in, doesn't even like at all. And so there's small moments like that that really, really hit me hard. That's like, this is painfully uncomfortable. And so because of that, it was hard for me to just enjoy the story as it was. It is a great story. I think you should definitely check it out. I know that this story, Ponko here, is going to heal. The thing is though, I can't continue this series until I know from other people who've read ahead, and one of my friends, shout out to my friend Danielle, has said that this is a story of healing, and I'm thankful for her in a conversation we had because like she said, yes, this volume was triggering for me personally. It is nothing against the story. I think the male lead is great. He is the kind of delinquent I'm excited to read about, but I need time. This is one that I can't just dive in on a whim because of how I related to it. And so I hope that if you check it out that you really enjoy it. Again, it's a good story. The art is really great, and I think it's very interesting with the bike shop part and the inspiration behind the series as the creator describes it in her afterword. But that heart-hitting relatability to our female lead was just a little bit too much for me and was not prepared for that when I first dove into this story. Guys, I think I'm gonna go get that Glass with Chance of Delinquent volume, so I'm gonna be right back. We're gonna have a mini unboxing in today's video, so hold on, okay? All right, I'm back, and I only have one. I only have one package, and I have two different things that are supposed to come today. It's either Glasses with a Chance of Delinquent, or it's Twisted Wonderland, the Anthology Volume 2. So let's open it and find out. I struggle opening these, okay. It's Glasses! Oh my gosh, it's Glasses! Oh, it's Glasses! Oh, look at it, oh my goodness! Look at it! Look at it! I'm so excited! Oh my gosh! I got my copy! I got my copy! Oh man, it's so good. Oh, I gotta take off the sticker. Mark, if you're watching this, I'm taking off the sticker. Let's take it off together. Do-do-do. Come on. Come on. Yay! And how am I gonna put over Ichikura's face like that? You know what I'm saying? Oh, look at the spine! Oh, I'm so excited! I'm so excited. And I have to edit a different video later today, so let's get back into our reading wrap up here. All right, before we got sidetracked in here, let's talk about the webtoons that I read. I think they're all on webtoons. Yeah, well, at least they're all on webtoons because the first one, The Remarried Empress, is a manhwa. Look, listen, I only read chapters 192 to 193. I did not I was so angry. I was so upset. How dare the creator, the artist, make me feel an inch, a centimeter of compassion for the emperor. I was so mad. I had tears forming. And I was so angry. I was like, how dare I feel anything for this man? Because I've talked about in like most Delulu characters in a top 5 Wednesday video, he is on that list. But there is something that happens that I just felt myself so emotional. I was so angry about it. I was so angry about it. I'm still angry that I felt that way. I thought something super bad happened to him. I mean, yes, something bad does happen to him when I read ahead later. But in that moment, I just was like, I don't know what to feel. And the creator, the artist, they are doing an amazing job. They're doing an amazing job. And I'm still angry that I felt that way. So that's all I'll say about that. I also read chapters 77 through 81 of The Dragon King's Bride. I've been having some beef with our male lead, but let me tell you, I didn't appreciate that in this one. I was also crying. And I was like, what is going on with these male leads right now? I don't appreciate my heartstrings being pulled, ripped out because of the decisions that these characters are making. And in this series, I love our couple so much, and the things that were said were so painful that I thought an imposter took over our girl's body. And I just was like, what? And so when things happen, spoiler free edition there, when things happen and then she comes back and I'm like, this is so heartbreaking. But there is a preview on one of the chapters, like the image, and it's a spoiler in that image, but it is the best kind of spoiler. So I'm hoping that since our leads are reunited, that they have gone back to their very good communication, that things are going to be better. But I tell you what, that villainess, get that woman out. Get that woman out. She's so good. She's such a good villainess because I get so angry. She's just a baddie who needs to get kicked out of the book. And she's back in. She's back on page. And I'm like, get out, woman. Nobody got time for your shenanigans. Nobody got time for it. So lots of emotions, as you can see through that. So because though that I was crying in both of these, or wanting to cry in one of them, I was like, I need some lighter reading, please and thank you. So since I've been reading the Grandpa webtoon as its nickname, I don't remember the full title, we just call it the Grandpa webtoon, I decided to try out one of the creator's other works, and that is My Boss Doesn't Have a Face. I read chapters 1 through 6, which is roughly 15 episodes. Yeah, this is the fluff I need. It was, oh my goodness, Daniel is so cute with all of his expressions that you can't see his face, but you get the vibe of his expressions and how his blushy faces. It has done my heart so good reading this. I have loved it very, very much. And even though it's not like a full webtoon drawn in the same way like The Dragon King's Bride, it is amazing. I would highly recommend it. I've loved it so very much. It has been, again, something my reading has been lacking, of pure fluff with no angst and just this rom-com. It's fantastic. Please check it out. I'm so thankful that I decided to give it a try, because after I read The Remarried Empress and The Dragon King's Bride, I go read a chapter of that so that my heart is okay and it recovers and it heals. Though the other thing I have been reading is Maybe Meant to Be, and I read chapters 82 through 85. This came back from hiatus. This second season has been hilarious. It has been something else, and I'm unsure of what I can say because I never expected how outlandish it would be, but it's so fun. And this series really is, like, in a great kind of way. It's a fun time, and it's pretty intense in this one too as well, honestly. I don't like where I stopped reading at that time because of just where the month ended, because things looked really dangerous, and I'm like, this is really bad right now. It's really bad. So yeah, The Boss Doesn't Have a Face is saving my webtoon reading so that I'm not too overwhelmed, if you know what I mean. Let's talk about the physical things that I read. Sorry, I really rambled there. The first three things that I read was A Person I Love Asked Me to Die in My Sister's Steed, Heroine Saint No, I'm an All Works Maid and Proud of It, and then Always a Catch, How I Punched My Way into Marrying a Prince. I am not going to go into depth about any of these, except for that I deeply love them, but I have a first impression video that you can check out here. Hopefully I didn't use all my cards, but I loved all three of these. They were great. The one that probably most surprised me was this one. I didn't expect for it to be so funny. This one surprised me in how angsty it is, and that I absolutely loved it. I was just reading the preview of volume 2 last night, and then Always a Catch I knew I would love, because punching, action, and sweet relatability at the same time. Very fun, so would highly recommend all three of these. I had to go back and reread this one this morning because I was like, It's been a hot minute. What happened? And that is Last Game, volume 7. I really did like this volume, even though I feel bad that I couldn't really remember anything that happened, except for Soma has confessed his feelings to Kujo. It's funny because I say I don't like love triangles, but this love triangle has been very, very interesting, and I'm loving that Kujo finally has to make a decision. Soma has confessed his feelings to her, but why does she keep thinking about Yanagi and Yanagi? My boy Yanagi, what? There is one conversation he said the dumbest thing that he could have ever said in that moment, because Kujo took it personally and her heart broke because she didn't. We know from Yanagi's point of view of what he's feeling, why he said what he did, and why he meant it. But poor Kujo, she doesn't know it. So there was a lot of unrest for her heart in this volume, but I was thankful because, again, it's making her have to face her feelings. And if she doesn't know what those feelings are, as she has told people in this volume, she has to ask questions about those feelings of what is love? What does it mean when you say you like me? How is you liking me different than how I like you? And poor Soma had to put up autumn questions and he was so embarrassed, but he handled it like a champ. He handled it so amazingly. And so I really enjoyed this volume. I don't remember how many stars I gave it, but I'm very much looking forward to volume 8, especially since we got the mean girl on the scene and how, despite how she feels, that she's helping Kujo. So I'm excited to see where things go. I'm hoping that she's going to go to Yanagi and realize, or at least say, hey, I think I like you more than just being a friend. You got this, Kujo. I believe in you, girl. Oh man, this one was so amazing. I actually read it on a day I had a really high fever. I was like the first day I was getting sick, and that is the Twisted Wonderland, the official art book in English. This is amazing and beautiful, and if you are sort of like me and you're like, well, do I really need this art book? Because all of the images shown in here, they're in the game. Like if you play the Twisted Wonderland game, these are all in there. There's not going to be anything new per se when it comes to that. There's my boy Ortho. I've been reading the chapter 7 and it's been amazing. I've loved it. If anything happens to Idia or Ortho, I will write it. Don't hurt my best boys. And yeah, speaking of Idia, I had to go get him. But yeah, I love this. This was such a delight to flip through, to see these cards. So, sorry guys, it's so big to hold. So big like this was everything. But honestly, I would really say what makes this art book worth picking up is, so it has like all of our cards from the game, right? Of like their school not their school uniform, the ceremonial robes, the lab wear, and then there's no PE. Though I mean they show the PE, but it's just like this. But yeah, what makes this worth it is when you get to the line art section at the end, you get the notes about why she drew the cards that she did the way that she did. This section was incredible. I mean, it was the highlight of everything. And you can even see like some of her concept ideas that she thought. One of them that I really liked with Jade, where you find out, this isn't Jade, I realize, but you find out why he's posing the way he is and what he's looking at. I love that. I loved getting these little tidbits just from this section alone. So yes, even if you're unsure again about the first part, having, are you really going to look at these when you could look at them in the game? But honestly, seeing them so big was everything. And this is going to sound a little bit weird or random. I'm not a shoe person, okay? But when I tell you, when I saw these pages and you could see their full outfits and their shoes, oh, I was having the time of my life. I loved seeing the different shoes because you don't get to see those, I feel like, in the original cards half the time. They're usually cut off unless you purposely look for them. Like, I'm trying to find... Yeah, like here is a great, like, look at Phil's shoes. He wears this all the time. And like, I knew he had like the high heels with his normal, his dorm uniform outfit. But for his school uniform, I didn't know he had that. Also, where's Jamil? Because Jamil had some really cool shoes that I was like, bro, well, maybe it wasn't. But I think Jamil just has one of the nicest outfits for like his school uniform. He just looks so nice. And maybe it wasn't Jamila was thinking of. But yeah, the shoes was everything. The line art was everything. And honestly, it was worth it. I'm so glad I got it, even though there were many times I debated, like, do I really need this? But it was wonderful. It is a great and special gift, I feel like, for any Twisted Wonderland fan. I forgot that I had read this originally last month, and that's volume 4 of My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999. I put way too many diets up in there. But I love this. So I have reread this series numerous times, have a video review of when I read it digitally, but I will say that while I love volumes 1 through 3, they're great, and I've reread them, and I own them physically, they're right back there. But when it came to volume 4, this is the volume, the moment I got hooked on loving Yamada, where you really get to see Akane's feelings and you see her coming to terms with it. You see other guild members being more involved in this volume, because like we see them, but I feel like it's this volume we really start to get to know them and see them more as characters on page. Also, the other girl, I only refer to her that way, but it was such a compelling arc. Is that the right word that I would use here? Seeing her struggle, seeing her share her feelings, and a few other things was so heartbreaking and so emotional, but so compellingly written. I really, really love that arc. It's so beautiful and very emotional, and it's satisfying too, in the sense, not seeing her pain, but seeing Yamada finally come to terms with his own feelings. I feel like this is the breaking point for the romance to really start kicking off and going forward, especially if you read the end of this volume, then you know. It's very, very good. I have seen a few friends saying, well, like, it's good, but I really feel like I don't like when people say, well, give it to this X volume. But I will say that if you're liking it, but you're unsure if you're going to get to a point of loving it, give it to this volume, because I feel like this is the turning point when I have reread Yamada, this is the arc that I start at, or like this is the volume that I start my reread from. I mean, I like the beginning, don't get me wrong, but I just felt like this part is where my heart felt so invested, so gripped in, or locked in, excuse me, as they say, in this series. So excited once again to have this physically. Everything was wonderful, and I cannot wait to read volume 5. For our next 3, I'm also not really going to talk about these either, because I did a first impression, and that is of Hoteri, I think I said that, first kiss. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. If I did, I'm so sorry. But I read this, which is a standalone, has a collection. Yes, I'm sure I think if I say it. It's a collection of 4 stories. It is a standalone. So much fun. Also read volume 1, Blade Girl, and volume 1 of Love That's Understatement. Both of these are part of Kodansha's print club, which they just kicked off in December. I'm hoping, friends, that we get this back restocked very, very quickly. I don't know what is taking so long when this was a fine volume. I have not seen if Blade Girl had the same issues or not. I think they did take the listing down, or at least paused more printings or anything. But I did a first impression. If I can, I'll leave it in the corner. I highly loved all of these, though Love That's Understatement was hands down my favorite. And then First Kiss would be second, and then Blade Girl. Very excited to continue Love That's Understatement physically, because I do have it digitally, and Blade Girl physically, because that was quite the cliffhanger for that one. And all of these were just so wonderful. So again, if you're curious about my thoughts on these, definitely go check out that first impression video. For my last read of the month, technically, no, it was not my last read near the end of what I read, but the last physical volume that I read, I have so many thoughts, is No Longer Heroine Volume 8. Now look, I know I've read volumes 1 through 7. I have it. This is not a series where people make good decisions, okay? I've known that from the get-go. I don't expect a lot from this series, but I think somewhere between volume 6 and 7, I was really proud of Hotteri's growth as a female lead. It would be unfair to say that she's not growing, okay? Because I do believe she is, but she's also very, very conflicted. And Rita, he made it known that he still loves Hoteri. He wants Hoteri, and he's going to do everything in his power to get Hoteri and win her over and be his girlfriend. Mind you, she is still in a relationship here. She's still in a relationship with Hiromitsu, but this guy right here, she is in a happy relationship with him. And they just had so much complications unfold for their relationship in this volume that I feel like the seed that Rita planted has really got some roots going in deep, because there is a very upsetting moment. I mean, this was an upsetting moment, obviously, but based off the panels that I shared, but something happens later and Rita's there. Rita is there. He fills a much needed gap in that moment where Hoteri needed someone because of something that seemed so tragic. Thankfully it didn't happen, but in that moment it did seem like something tragic was about to happen. He was there because he was so dependable, and Hoteri noticed. I think the struggle that she's feeling in this volume is just going to increase. It breaks my heart because I liked Rita in the beginning. I didn't like him in the middle. I have a lot of mixed feelings with him now because I feel like it was a little bit too late for him to suddenly change and want to win her over. For that specifically, I'm glad that he changed, but I don't want him to change just so he can get this girl back. Meanwhile, Hiromitsu, he is an amazing young man. He has changed, transformed so much from the playboy that we knew in the beginning. And he is really agonizing about his relationship with Hoteri, what is happening. And he just seems so down the dumps. And that's when we have an interloper who comes on the scene and causes problems. She causes problems and I don't know. I feel like I'm 8 volumes in. There's only 2 volumes left, but I just don't know if I want to spend the money to find out what happens next, because I got a feeling I ain't gonna like what happens next. I think out of any of the volumes, this is the lowest rating I gave it. I gave it 3 stars because, I mean, maybe I should have given it 2, but I read everything and I was not happy with everything that I read, but yet I still read it. The ending left on a huge cliffhanger. I can't believe that this one character is there, and I don't know what that means. I feel like when I read the blurb of volume 9 that they said that there could be some problems between this person and Rita. No, I don't think that's going to be the case. I really don't think that's going to be the case, especially with what that character said. But I do think it's going to really, I think it's going to spark something for Hoteri. I think if she's already seen Rita in a more dependable light when her actual boyfriend is not being dependable right now and she feels like he's lying to her due to things that other people did to him, I feel like when this character, when Hoteri sees them, I feel like it's going to unravel her from things that happened in the beginning of the series. So I just don't know. I just don't know, friends. Up to this point, it's been fun. I didn't take anything at face value, but there's so much happening that I'm just like, I'm still here, but at what cost? At what cost am I still here? I mean, I sort of want to do a video review on it just because the series is nothing like anything else I've read, and it's just so unhinged, but I don't know if I could actually recommend the series unless you like unhinged and nobody making the best of decisions. Then yeah, this would be a great series to read. So to be determined what I do moving forward. I do have volume 9, I know, on my wish list because, again, I would like to know. I just am conflicted about actually buying the volume to find out what happens next. Not the most exciting way to end this December reading wrap-up video. So let's just go back and show Glasses, which has a Delinquent, and what we can stay tuned for in the next reading wrap-up video, and knowing there'll be a lot of excitement because there were some great things that I read, and very excited to see, I was about to say, what I will read next, because I'm a TBR. I've read things, but it's still really, really overwhelming, it feels like. But Glasses, you know, I'll be reading that today. I will be reading that today, probably more tonight than I will during the actual day. But yes, that is all that I have for you, friends, for today. All my thoughts on different manga that I read and webtoons, because obviously I had a lot of things to say about the digital things that I read, but I would love to hear from you, friends. What were some of your favorite reads in December? Do you typically read a lot in December? I would love to know, because I feel like December is usually the one month I just don't read that much. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!